How are we doing, everybody? Sam here, United People's TV, here with the player ratings after Manchester United reach the Europa League final, albeit through a draw at Old Trafford. Who would have guessed it? Man United drawing at Old Trafford. Haven't seen that much this season, apart from 12 other occasions in the Premier League. But it doesn't matter, because Man United won 1-0 away in Spain. We may have done it by the skin of our teeth over the full 90 minutes tonight, but we made it through. But who was Manchester United's man of the match? How did every player play on the night? Here is my feelings and my ratings on everybody's performance tonight. Starting with Sergio Romero in goal. For me, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Sergio Romero has been Manchester United's Europa League goalkeeper. Lots of people want to see David De Gea come straight back in for him. But I understand why Jose Mourinho is keeping him in the team. You know, we always look at players and say, look, play the best players in the best positions and nothing more, because we're football fans. That's all we can do. He's a manager. He's managing human beings. And for me, Sergio Romero hasn't put a foot wrong in the Europa League this season. So to drop him after all of that would be to throw him, just completely throw him away to the side. And I understand what Jose Mourinho is doing, although he's got one hell of a tough decision on his hands. Does he keep Sergio Romero in goal for the final, or bring his goalkeeper David De Gea back in, who is undoubtedly a far better goalkeeper than Sergio Romero? It's a tough decision to make considering how well Romero's played. On paper, it's a simple decision. David De Gea in straight away. But as I said, the human aspect, one that we're not privy to, one that we don't think about, that's what makes it a tough decision for Jose. One we don't have to make. And then you look at a right back, Antonio Valencia. I don't think it was actually his best performance tonight. I'll give Valencia, 6.5 out of 10. I don't think Valencia did much wrong. I don't think Valencia did too much right. You know, Valencia's been overlapping a lot more this season, getting a lot more crosses into the box. But I feel like Celta Vigo's right back, their captain, Maya was his name, can't remember his name, but he was probably their most dangerous player on the pitch. Valencia certainly wasn't our most dangerous player tonight. We had a very pragmatic approach in that second half. Not many players were getting past our halfway line, and I feel that really reflected in Valencia's performance. His best performances come when Manchester United are very adventurous going forward. That's when you get the most out of Valencia. After all, he's a right winger by nature, not a right back. Centre-back partnership of Eric Bailly and Daley Blind. I've given Daley Blind a 5 tonight, and I've given Eric Bailly, I'll probably give him a 5 as well. Daley Blind tonight was not his usual composed, controlled self. You look at Daley Blind that played away at Man City, you look at Daley Blind that played away to Burnley, that was not the Daley Blind that played tonight. Some of his passes were way off. He gave Celta Vigo a chance very early on. Didn't lead to anything, but it just wasn't the right tone that you want to start a European Cup semi-final leg at home at all. And he unfortunately continued in that vein. Didn't do too much wrong past that point, but it was just a bit nervous from Daley Blind. Not the sort of Daley Blind that we're used to seeing. And Eric Bailly, I've given him that rating because of him getting sent off. You know, John Guidetti went down like a sack of spuds. He shouldn't have gone down like he did. But Eric Bailly gave him the opportunity to. And you can't do that. You can't do that, especially in a European Cup knockout competition. Players are going to go down. Players are going to take any opportunity to get a leg up on you. Eric Bailly presented it to him on a plate, and he took it with open arms. And that means that Bailly's going to miss the fucking final. 2 red cards he's had now in the European Cup this season. One was in the first leg for the final game. I'm not sure, maybe. I think he was banned for the final game. And now he's going to miss the final. Our best defender's going to be missing. That's a huge blow for Manchester United. And no doubt Jose Mourinho is going to be furious about that. Darmian, I've given a 5. I don't think Darmian played very well at left back tonight. I think Aspas had the best of him. I think Aspas really found the space and really exploited the movements that Darmian made. Every way that Darmian turned, Aspas turned the other way. He had him on toast tonight. Luckily, it didn't lead to much, but that was definitely not Darmian's best performance at left back for Manchester United this season. Now, Ander Herrera, I've given a 6 tonight. Again, it wasn't his best. He was still making a nuisance of himself. That is one thing that Ander Herrera always does in midfield. He's not a midfielder like Michael Carrick, who will sit in his position and hold and try and intercept. Ander Herrera bites at the ankles of the opposition. He's always there, making a nuisance of himself. And unfortunately for him, I think he got a yellow card towards the end of the second half. He was getting a little bit frustrated. The referee was giving a lot of niggly fouls towards the early periods of the game. And we didn't see the best from Herrera tonight, but we certainly didn't see the worst. And alongside Paul Pogba, I think they're actually a good partnership, with Marouane Fellaini slightly in front of them. And Paul Pogba himself, I'm giving him a 7. Paul Pogba, he didn't dominate the game as much as he did at Celta Vigo, but Paul Pogba, come on, he is pure mustard. I said it in a tweet last night after Luka Modric's performance against Atletico Madrid. He didn't get a goal or an assist, but everybody was lauding his performance from central midfield. Tonight, we didn't get that level of performance from Paul Pogba in midfield, but we are starting to... We've seen it all season, let's be honest, Reds. We've seen how influential and how good Paul Pogba is in that central midfield position. It wasn't his best tonight, but there were a few fleeting moments where Pogba he's just gorgeous to watch, isn't he? He can make something from nothing. And there was a couple of times where he made something from nothing, but there was no runners going forward. So his chances led to nothing. Very frustrating for Pogba. Very frustrating for us. And he's created 75 chances in the Premier League this season. 4 of them have been converted. You try and figure out that percentage. But if I was Paul Pogba, I'd be pissed off about that. He's had another good game here. Let's not try and slate him about it. Lingard. Not the best opportunity, not the best game, for him, in an opportunity to really reaffirm himself. Lingard was poor tonight. There's no defending that. I'll be honest, he didn't really do much of note. I'm probably going to give him a 5, maybe a 5.5, even a 6 at push. But Lingard didn't do enough tonight. He really, really didn't. That's all I can say about Lingard. You know, everybody knows on this channel that I like Lingard. I've got a soft spot for him. I think he gets way too much criticism than is due. But tonight, from what I saw from Lingard, he deserves the criticism because tonight he really didn't do enough. And one player who absolutely exceeded expectations, Marouane Fellaini. The player that you knew was going to start tonight because he's banned domestically and we haven't got that many players. So Jose Mourinho is going to switch his team around and he put Fellaini in the team tonight. He delivered. The goal that made the difference in the first half. And ultimately, he didn't fuck up. Which is sort of what you somewhat expect from Marouane Fellaini these days. He didn't do it. And that goal made all the difference. So for Fellaini, his job today, I'm not sure what his job was, but he played in a more out of Herrera, Pogba and Fellaini. He was the most advanced of the midfield 3. And if Jose Mourinho is going to use Fellaini, that is the best position for him. Don't give him any defensive responsibility and he can't fuck up on the edge of the box. If he's going to mess up, let him do it in their half. But tonight, he didn't mess up. For me, he gets an 8 out of 10. And for me, it's between him, Romero and Rashford maybe for man of the match. Who is it? You decide in the comments below. Let me know what you think. I've given Mkhitaryan a 6.5, maybe a 7. I'll give him a 7. Maybe a 6.5 has been a bit bad. Mkhitaryan is so much better in the Europa League than he is in the Premier League. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Tonight we saw that again. He was dancing past defenders at certain points. Other points, he was running straight into defenders. But he seems to have the confidence to at least attempt that in the Europa League. He doesn't really do that in the Premier League. You know, there's no player in the Europa League now who has scored more than goals this campaign than Mkhitaryan. He's on 5 goals in the Europa League in total. He's on for the Golden Boot in the Europa League. That's where we've seen the best of Henrik. And that's why Mourinho is always going to start him. He'll definitely start the final. But what we need to see from Henrik Mkhitaryan from next season onwards is that level of performance in the Premier League every week. Every week, that is what Jose Mourinho is waiting for. And final, I'm going to give Marcus Rashford. I'll give him a 7.5. In that first half, Man United were getting pushed back by Celta Vigo. They were really controlling quite a lot of that game. But Marcus Rashford came up with one hell of a cross that Marouane Fellaini made no mistake from. You know, Marcus Rashford is a striker on paper, but his game is about so much more than just scoring goals. His dribbling is superb. His delivery is fantastic. His interplay with the strikers around him is also superb. He's very much an all-round attacker, and he's only 19 years old. It's so hard not to get excited about Marcus Rashford. He really is the real deal. And the more he plays in these important games, the more he comes up with the goods. Manchester United's last 4 goals in the Europa League, he scored 2 of them and got 2 assists for the other 2. That's leading up to the final. Marcus Rashford is spearheading this new look Manchester United and it's very, very exciting. I can't wait to see what he does in Stockholm. Let's see what happens there. Now 3 subs came on, Carrick, Rooney and Smalling. I don't think any of them. Smalling you definitely can't give a rating to, came on in the 90th minute. And I honestly don't think that Carrick or Rooney played long enough to really give him a fair rating. Carrick was brought on to slow the game down. Rooney was brought on to see the game out. They both did their jobs in that respect. So let's give them a 6 out of 10 each. But who was your man of the match from the game? For me, today, I can't look past Marouane Fellaini. I will criticise Marouane when the criticism is due. But when he deserves praise, like tonight, I will praise Marouane Fellaini. And he absolutely deserves it because it was a good performance from him. Not an outstanding performance, but all we needed tonight after the 1-0 lead away in Spain was a good performance. And he got that all-important goal. Let's read a few of your comments out here before we finish. We are lucky to have Burnley before the final. Can rest some players. We haven't got Burnley. We've got Crystal Palace, I believe. We're going to Stockholm, bitches, says AK. Yes, we are. Romero is great. Keep him and let De Gea come home for fuck's sake. I'm guessing we've got a Real Madrid fan invading the player ratings. I hope to God that David De Gea stays. But if he leaves, will Romero be his replacement? Maybe, maybe not. But judging from his performances in the Europa League, Sergio Romero has certainly put himself in at least in the framework for the potential David De Gea replacements this season. Comment there saying Romero or De Gea in the final. You know what? We're probably going to do a separate video on this on the build up to the final. Romero or David De Gea? Who plays? We don't know yet, but there's certainly justified reasons for either side of that argument. Let me know who your players of that match were in the comments below, as you always do. If anybody new is watching, please hit that subscribe button down in the corner and join United People's TV. Join the community. There's lots of other Reds involved in this. Always leaving the comments and always getting involved. It'll be lovely to have you involved as well. That is it for the player ratings. Thank you all for joining. Continue leaving your comments and we'll see you in Stockholm. Take it easy.